Welcome, Space Club, to another week of our Space Club Career Chats. I am Natasha Wilkerson, and I am really excited to invite all of our students that have been participating in Space Club this fall. We have another exciting guest for you today. And so let me introduce him before I bring him on. So today's guest, you might have read some of his bio. This is Kyle Schroeder, and I hope I got that name right. I always feel like I mess it up. Awesome. So Kyle is a certification manager for Air Tractor. This is a company that builds agricultural and firefighting airplanes. If you've seen the Disney Planes movie, it's just like the Dusty Crophopper. His experience, he spent 10 years investigating plane crashes to figure out what went wrong and to prevent it from happening again. And he's going to share some photos and his experience there. And his background, he has a bachelor's in Aerospace Engineering from Texas A&M. Welcome, Kyle, to Space Club. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
I'm good. We just loved having you last time, so we're excited to bring you back.
I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to share my experience and maybe a few bits of wisdom with everybody.
I love it. Well, I'm going to let you get started. Let me know when you need me to change the slide.
Will do. So, hi everybody. My name is Kyle Schroeder, and like Natasha said, I'm an aerospace engineer, and I'm currently serving as the certification manager for a really cool little company called Air Tractor. Here at Air Tractor, we're a company that designs and builds airplanes, but not just any airplanes. We build airplanes that are specially designed to help protect and feed people all around the world. I'm excited to share that with you and answer some questions that you all have about who I am and what I do and even how I got to where I am now. So first off, what is an air tractor? It's as you can see in the pictures, it's just like Dusty Crophopper from Planes movie 1 and 2. You can, if you think back to the Planes 1 movie, where Dusty started out as what they call a crop duster. A crop duster is an airplane that helps farmers in all realms of agriculture, and they help farmers by keeping the crops and the food supply healthy. So you can think of, they'll put down fertilizer, and that's like vitamins for the plants that helps the plants grow and stay healthy. They'll also apply what we call crop protection products. These are products that also keep the plants healthy, so that we can actually grow more crops and produce more food on smaller amounts of land. And that's really important for the environment. As you can imagine, we can't have the entire earth filled up with fields for growing food. We have to have cities, and we have to have forests, and houses. So this is our airplanes help farmers grow the amount of food that we need in this world, but grow it on a reasonable amount of land. Our airplanes are also used for firefighting. You can see the picture there in the middle and on the right hand side of your screen. The airplanes are just like fire trucks, but fire trucks in the sky. They put out fires that are threatening a house or forests, and they help the firefighters on the ground put those fires out and control them. Next slide. So before I came to Air Tractor, I was just like you. I went to school. I grew up on a farm in a tiny little town in Texas, and my normal day started at 4 a.m. We would get up and we would feed the cows and milk the cows, and then I'd get cleaned up and go to school, and then after school I'd come home, feed the cows again until late in the afternoon, and then I'd go in and do my homework. It taught me all about hard work and how to have a strong work ethic, and that that things don't just happen by themselves. You have to actively work hard to make those things happen. Whenever I was growing up on the farm, we had these crop dusters that would come by and spray our fields. And I just fell in love with airplanes, just watching those airplanes fly around and help us create a good product on the farm. I just fell in love with the airplanes, and I knew that I wanted to design airplanes and work on airplanes when I grew up. So I was actually the first person in my family to go to college. So that was a real big achievement for me and my family. I got my degree in aerospace engineering. That also was a lot of hard work to get to that point. When you go to college, it's not, you don't just go to classes for a couple hours a day. You have to go to classes, and then you stay up all night long working. There's a lot of work involved. I got my bachelor's degree in college. I know that several of the other presenters on this career chat have PhDs or master's degrees. I want you to know while that is great, and that having that kind of educational background is a great thing, you can be an engineer or a scientist without that type of degree. You can get a 4-year bachelor's degree and do just fine. So at school, I learned so much. Next slide, Natasha. And the next one. So at school, I learned so much. I worked on a team, and we designed an airplane that could fly for 5 days without stopping. I was also part of a team that did some work with NASA, and we got to ride on an airplane that simulated zero gravity. This airplane was called the Vomit Comet, and you can see these pictures here. It was me flying a mission on that airplane, and as the airplane would fly through the sky, it would do these parabolas. It would go up and down, and when it was on the downhill slope, it was just like a roller coaster. We would get zero gravity, and we would actually float. It was a wonderful experience. I got to work with a bunch of wonderful people, both at Texas A&M and at NASA. It's a great opportunity. And I got these opportunities because I worked hard and always said yes whenever somebody wanted me to help them. So I think that's a very important lesson to learn, is that when you get an opportunity, even though it looks like a lot of work, or you're scared that you don't have the time to dedicate to such a project, just saying yes and being there to help and to be a part of a team will take you very far. It'll be a wonderful thing. If I hadn't have said yes to these kind of projects where we got to design our 5-day airplane or ride on this NASA airplane, if I would have said no, then I would have never had those opportunities, and I wouldn't have learned near as much as I have. So that's one piece of advice I'd love to give everybody is just say yes whenever you get an opportunity. Next slide. So whenever I started at Air Tractor, the very first thing that I did right out of college was I started designing airplane parts, and then testing different airplane systems and helping build new products for our airplanes. But after about 5 years, I got a wonderful opportunity to do something that I think is really important. And this was investigating plane crashes. Unfortunately, it's a part of the aviation world, is that sometimes planes crash. It doesn't happen very often, but when they do, a team of investigators goes to where the plane crash happened, and it is our job to find out what happened and what we can learn from it. Um, it and that learning from it is a very important aspect that some people don't think about. If a plane crashes and we don't figure out why it happened, we can't prevent that from happening next time. So it was an honor to get to be allowed to participate in these investigations, and I was able to travel all over the country to different parts of the world I would have never been able to go to otherwise. But we were really able to learn a lot, and we made some very important design changes to our airplanes because of what we found out. The very first plane crash that I went to was an accident where the pilot was out in an agricultural field. He was flying over the field, putting out fertilizer, and then it got really foggy, and he wasn't able to see where he was going, and that caused him to crash. So that was a very important accident for us because we learned that if we had installed a different piece of equipment in that airplane, that maybe that would have given the pilot the tools to prevent that accident from happening. So we were able to change our airplane design and install a new piece of equipment that we think has saved a lot of lives. And so this was another opportunity. This was an opportunity that I was asked if I wanted to do, and I said yes. So that was when those opportunities come, just make sure that you're always willing to say yes and participate. Next slide. And so as we all know that your life doesn't only involve work. We do lots of things. We have families. We have fun outside of work. And so the one thing that I have always loved doing outside of work is learning. I love to learn about new things, and I love building new things. So I've taken on several projects over the years. One project, as you can see in the picture on the left, is I decided to build an airplane in my garage. And so there are companies online that you can call them and say, hey, I want to order these parts because I'm building an airplane in my garage, and they would be happy to sell you sheets of aluminum and steel and wheels and engines and whatever you need to build an airplane. And so I was able to learn and teach myself how to put this airplane together. And it was a project that really taught me a lot about mechanics and how things go together, and it made me a better engineer. I've had several other projects like this in my life. Right now I'm working to restore an old pickup truck that belonged to my wife's great grandfather. And so I've got that project in my garage right now. I've built lots of things for my three sons. Recently, we built a tree house together, and it's complete with a zip line and everything. So we all get to go down the zip line and have lots of fun. So all of these things I do because I think it's very important to always be learning, whether you're in school or out of school. It's important to always be learning and learn new things. And so for me, that was about learning how things work. I want to encourage all of you to do the same. I want you to always be learning. Go to museums. If you see your neighbor in his driveway fixing his car, go ask what's going on and ask him to show you how that works. If you've got a mechanic shop or a repair shop in your neighborhood, go talk to the owners and make a deal with them. Say, I'll help you sweep the floor or clean parts if you'll show me how the inside of that car works. Always be curious. Always try to understand how things work. Not just, hey, does this work or not? But always be curious and try to figure out why it works and how it works, so that you can better understand how it works, so that you're able to fix it or design something even better. That's what we engineers do. We spend our times trying to make things better and trying to design a better product. Next slide, Natasha.
All right. You ready for some rapid fire questions?
I am ready for some rapid fire questions.
All right. Well, before we go to that, I just want to say I was thinking through some themes that you brought up, and there were some really powerful messages that I kind of want to reiterate for the students. Saying yes, to every opportunity. But I feel like students are afraid of failure. And, we want to be perfect. We want to make straight A's. We want to make it exactly right how it should be. How can someone overcome that fear?
Never, ever be afraid to fail. On these slides, I didn't put any of my failures in these slides, but I can assure you that that I have lots of failures, and it is intimidating to think about failure, whether you're taking a test and you're afraid to fail that test, or you are designing something new and afraid that it'll fail. We learn so much from our failures. I believe it was Thomas Edison that when he invented the light bulb, he invented the light bulb on his 250th try.
Wow.
And before that, he said, I figured out 249 different ways to not build a light bulb. And so he was a man who was not afraid of failure. I know for myself, the very first test I took in college, I made a 35 on it.
Wow.
And I was ashamed of myself, and I thought, man, maybe I'm not cut out for college. But what I did was I used that as a lesson, and doubled my efforts to study, and I was able to improve greatly before I graduated from college. So never be afraid to fail. It happens to all of us.
Yep. And that's so important. Whenever you see a final product, or you watch TV and you see this amazing work by engineers and scientists, what you don't hear is all the failure. And so I think it's so important that the kids know that adults like us and engineers and scientists are failing every day, and all you see is the end final product, and that doesn't tell the whole story.
That's right. That's absolutely correct.
Okay, so now we're going to get to a few last rapid fire questions. So let's get started. So each question, I'm going to give you about like 10, 20 seconds. So first we have, what is your favorite type of plane from the Space Mangoes in Jersey?
My favorite type of plane has to be an air tractor. I have lots of favorites, but the air tractor is such a versatile airplane that can do so many things. It has to be my favorite.
And you are at Air Tractor, so
one of those behind me.
Right. What was the weirdest thing you found while investigating plane crashes from Maximum Velocity in Illinois?
Oh, that's a tough question. The weirdest thing we found, maybe this wasn't weird, but there were several times where we found things that broke in a way that we didn't expect it to break. And so as we investigated, we learned from that, and either redesign that part so that it broke correctly, or that it didn't break at all.
Okay, did you vomit on the Vomit Comet from Blastoff Blalock in North Carolina?
I did not. Thank goodness. They were telling us going into that that it was that almost everybody does, but I was very thankful that I did not.
Did anybody else on that flight?
Actually, no. We had a perfect flight, and I think we
Oh,
were only the ninth time in history that had ever happened that nobody got sick on the vomit plane.
that is a good record to have.
Yeah, exactly.
What did you want to be as a kid from Milky Way in Michigan?
Well, my my dad was a firefighter. He worked on the farm, but he was also a firefighter, and so that was always my dream. And it wasn't until later, whenever I discovered airplanes, that I realized that I want to be an engineer and design airplanes. But originally, it was to be a firefighter.
Okay, and what is the coolest part about Air Tractor, the Eclipsers in Ohio?
The coolest part about Air Tractor as a company is that we're a small company, and that we only have 300 employees here, and we get to do a lot of different things. If you work for a big company, you tend to specialize in one thing, and you only do that one thing all day long. Where at Air Tractor, because we're a small company, we get to do a lot of different things every day, and so I really like that. So when you're looking for a job, remember that the big companies are great, but also keep in mind that small companies have a lot to offer as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, and I hope you can stick around for just a few more minutes because I want to show you some work that the Space Club students have been
I'd love to
doing.
see it.
Okay, so we have some highlights. I picked a couple schools that really stood out to us this week. First is Academy of Our Lady of Peace in New Jersey. They're working on the roller coaster mission, so you can see some of their designs. And we actually connected this to the vomit comet and the changes in acceleration, and so that's what they were trying to do with their roller coaster.
Amazing.
Now we have Bloom Carroll Middle in Ohio, and this is a welcome tower. So if you look closely, there's a light at the top that they're trying to turn on, and there's a switch at the bottom. Did you do any projects like this when you were a kid?
Oh yes, we were always building something, trying different things to see if it would work, and these are wonderful to see.
So it's yeah, because sometimes the kids are like, I'm just using, recycled boxes and tape. But I'm like, no, this is so important for when you actually, have the big stuff. You got to know how it works and how to put it together and trial and error. And then I have one more. So we actually have an international school. This is Indian Central School in Kuwait. And they submitted some pretty cool towers. I don't know if you could see here. This is little, I think popsicle sticks is another antenna at the top, and some other towers, some very, very unique designs.
That's great.
So awesome job to all the students that submitted this week. And now we got to end it on their favorite part, which is the raffle. And they will be winning. So two teams are going to win this really cool Connects roller coaster set. So it's actually an amusement park. You can build a Ferris wheel and all these things. So we gave this away last week, and the kids really loved it. So I decided to give away two more. And so now we get to spin the wheel. So let me pull it up here. And apparently it's brought to you by Target. Okay, here goes. So I have two teams. Our first team, let's go. Congratulations, April from the Magazine School District. You get to win a Roller Coaster Connect set. One more team. Who's it going to be? Ooh, congratulations, the Shooting Stars from Cumberland Mills. Awesome work, everyone. And so here I'm going to end. Just going to put the two of us up. Kyle, any kind of last words? You saw some of the work the students have been doing. Any last words you want to say to our elementary and middle school students?
To continue the theme, I want to first of all say that you guys are doing some wonderful work, and keep up the good work. But like I said earlier, even if you're building one of those towers and it falls over and you consider it a failure, learn from that failure and build it back stronger.
All right, so you heard it here. Don't give up. And I want to emphasize failure is an option. NASA says failure is not an option, but it is in Space Club. We want you to learn from your mistakes and try again. So, and I will see you guys next week. Thanks again, Kyle. Y'all have an
Thanks
awesome
for
week.
having me.